struggles, and we do fight it, and then we just keep bowing and bowing. But the Parametas are here. How is it that we dedicate this self over and over again to living with and for all beings? Because ultimately we know, we can feel the interconnection. But it's in the living of it. The Parametas are mentioned in the Diamond Sutra, which is a Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. Shantideva, which I'm going to talk about next week, in the I was not going to say it because I knew I wouldn't say it anyway. Shantideva is the way of the Bodhisattva. It's mentioned there. The Paramita means perfection, gone to the other side. It's not perfection as in, okay, now I got it all together. It's perfection in that can you feel the perfection right in this moment? The minute I stopped, the whole world was just close. And bird song, light, felt sense, and thoughts and feelings. And we say this a lot, perfect just as it is, as you are, and we could use a little improvement. So Paramitas point the way. It's the training of going beyond the self, right in the center of being a self. Here's from the Buddha. Don't just hope for the other shore to come to you. If you want to cross over to the other shore of being awake, present right here with and for all beings, the shore of safety, well-being, non-fear, and anger. Oh, that's nice. The shore of safety, well-being, non-fear, and non-anger. Who would like to know the shore of safety, well-being, non-fear, and non-anger? I think we're in. Okay, that's. You have to swim or row across. You have to make an effort. And the effort is the 6 Paramitas. So here's a story. In the sutras, there was a time when the Buddha taught like this. Imagine there is someone who is holding a fistful of salt. They place it in a small bowl of water and stir it around with their finger. Monks, do you think people could drink that water? And the monk said, such water would be far too salty to drink. How could you drink it? You'd have to throw it away. The Buddha said, that is correct. And then the Buddha said, but if, for example, you were to throw that fistful of salt into the river, then would the people who lived in the villages along the river continue, assuming that the river's not polluted, then would the people who lived in the villages alongside the river continue to drink the water of the river? And the monk said, yes. Buddha said, why? Because the river is vast, and the fistful of salt cannot possibly make the water of the river salty. So it's the same for us. Our hearts are small, our minds contracted and thising and thatting. Then words, actions, state of the world, injustice will make us angry, grief, sad. Not saying don't feel it. But if we look deeply and see clearly through the paramitas of generosity, ethical behavior, acceptance, discipline, meditation, with a heart of understanding, love will grow in us. And then we more and more are in the river of everything that is. Our heart will become like a river. And then whatever is thrown in, we will not suffer. Here's another story. Be like the earth. Rahula, who was the Buddha's son, wow, became a novice when he was only 8 years old. When he was 18 years old, the Buddha taught him about the practice of inclusiveness. He said, Rahula, you have to practice to be like the earth. Why? Because the earth has the great capacity to receive, to accept, to embrace, and to transform. Now, we also know about climate change, and I mean, I don't want to go past any of that, but the earth as a living, breathing presence is active and alive. If people pour fragrant milk, perfumes, and sweet things on the earth, or if they pour on the earth filthy things like spittle, mucus, excrement, and garbage, the earth does not crave or is not greedy for the sweet things and is not angry with the filthy things. She receives everything equally. The earth has the capacity to include them all and to transform them all. It is not attached to the clean or angry with the dirty. You have to practice to be able to behave like the earth. And we'll add, we have to practice to take care of the earth, which is our body. So the Buddha continued to teach Rahula not only the earth, but about the water and the fire and the air. All the elements have the great capacity to accept all forms of offerings, wonderful and fragrant, as well as polluted and dirty. It means the capacity of these four elements is very great, and our heart has to be as great as that. And then we will not suffer, and then we will be able to find appropriate response. So we cultivate practice every day, and our heart more and more breaks and opens and gets tenderized and vulnerable. All the things mostly we want to avoid, right? I like it over here in my little self-protected cocoon. Trying to decide how much I can digress here. We have a monarch hatchery happening at our house.
Oh.
It's so cool. Talk about transformation. It's like they eat. And then the monarchs, my understanding is that Jose's really smart about this stuff, is that a cocoon is you weave something around yourself, but when you're a chrysalis, your whole body transforms. You give yourself completely to it. So they eat, and then they climb up to the top. They just did this last night, 2 of them. And they go into a little J hanging from the top, and then the whole body starts to transform into this chrysalis form. And then they transform, and then they turn into mush inside. And then they transform into a butterfly, and they come out, and they do all these butterfly things. So active transformation is, we are giving our bodies and hearts and minds all the time. And I'm not sure what the opinions of the caterpillar is, but I think we all have lots of opinions about how much we like what we're being fed to eat, and whether I want to dissolve or not, or whether I want to live or die. I mean, that's just what we do. That's what we wake up in. But it's an amazing thing to watch. Okay, thank you for my digression, I hope. So the practice is not to be a bowl of water, but to be a river, and after that to be the ocean. What makes other people suffer cannot make you suffer anymore, because your heart is large. Just more and more. Let go. If you don't want to let go, that's okay. Just study that. I want to let go here. But I don't think, you're not going to ask that of me, are you? Well, here it is. Okay. So, Thich Nhat Hanh says, the 6 Parametas are very concrete means for us to cross over the sea of suffering to the shore of freedom from craving, anger, envy, despair, and delusion. They are the truth of Buddha's body, how we see and experience the world through Buddha's eyes and body. and their practices to help us wake up to who we truly are. Want to hear more about them? Want me to remind us?
Yes.
Oh, good, thank you. I'll say what I say a lot, I think, is, these teachings were originally oral, and they're all about repetition. So, we try to think of 100 different ways to say it so we stay interested, but basically it's the same thing over and over and over again. And each time we hear it, my experience is we just hear it differently if we're open to it, and it's going to touch us in some way that it didn't touch us the last time we heard it. So, because we're all in a little chrysalis of transformation. So, generosity. Generosity is the first paramita. Generosity is, according to Bhikkhu Bodhi, who I deeply trust, is the Buddha didn't want to teach any of the Four Noble Truths or any of the next, quote, level of teachings unless there was a basic ground in a person of generosity. Because otherwise it was just all going to go in and all get tangled up in that, which it gets tangled up in anyway. But he just wanted to encourage people to practice being generous in materials, three kinds of material things, just giving gifts. Amazing how simple and how just the gift of your presence today. The gift of, the second one is the gift of the teachings. So just showing up today, you're sharing the gift of the teachings, and when you go forward with presence, somebody just told me they came back from Tassajara and they were so open and full-hearted. It's like people around notice and say, what's that about? Something different here. So just presence day to day. And the third is fearlessness, which is the one I'm curious about all of them. It's like, what is this fearlessness of going beyond fear, right in the middle of fear? Anyway, generosity. Second one, ethical conduct, which is the precepts. Paying attention to our thoughts, words, and deeds. And more turning them away from self-centeredness, bowing to it, and towards love and the benefit of all beings. How cool, huh? Third, patience. Thich Nhat Hanh calls patience all-inclusiveness. Another name for it is forbearance. I like that word, but somehow it feels onerous to me. But all-inclusive. It's like, how can I touch this edge of where I'm shutting down and be with this too? So fully facing difficulties and transforming them into the path. Working skillfully with strong emotions. Offering deep presence to ourselves and others in the midst of pain. Fully facing difficulties and transforming them into the path. Third one, effort, but in particular, joyful effort. Effort sometimes is like, okay, we all know that kind of effort. All right, I'll do it. But a kind of, it really does, it's amazing to me, ongoing, how much the effort of practice both cultivates and arises as joy. It's like a joyful offering of this life. I wrote this one, I think this is from Norman Fisher's book, The World Could Be Otherwise, which I'll remind people, his book on the Parametas, The World Could Be Otherwise, that his publisher, he wanted to call it The World Is Otherwise, that this is the true nature of the world, and his publisher didn't like it. They wanted it more. The world could be otherwise, but so arising ourselves to hopefulness and joy so we can see our practice commitments with a bright spirit, with the eyes of Buddha and the heart of Buddha. Arising ourselves, doesn't say arousing, arising. Here I am. Here I am. Arising ourselves to hopefulness and joy. To me, Zazen posture has that quality. and sometimes it hurts, sometimes you don't want to do it, sometimes you're tired, but there is this sit down in the earth and this arising, being in this life force of alive. Next one, meditation, regular focused sitting, like we're doing today, and walking practice to refresh and slow down our hearts and our minds so that our days and nights can be firm and calm, so that the world can know stability and calm. I think that's a paraphrase of Norman Fisher. And the last one, traditionally called wisdom, but understanding is another way to say it, so it doesn't sound cool and someplace high and mighty. Understanding, recognizing that nothing is as we think it is, that there is no separation and no tragedy. Nothing is fixed or solid. That the true nature of everything is love. And that within that, everything arises, passes, coming and going, and no coming and no going. So now I want to tell you a story. I hadn't thought about this story for a long time, but I like it a lot. It's about Padachara. Do you know about Padachara? She became the greatest of the women teachers in the early Buddhist Sangha. I was saying to someone this morning, I'm not so sure that it's true in the traditional male lineage, but most of what I know in the traditional women's lineage, and maybe this is a gross exaggeration, is many women came to practice because of suffering, because they lost their family and didn't know what to do. So Padachara. I would like to also just say here, there is birth family, there is beyond birth family, and the whole world is our family. So whatever gendered body you got, I don't know about you these days, but I look at what's happening in the world, and if I look particularly or especially, I mean at all but the children, the suffering and loss of children. Who are my children? Who are your children? Who are our grandchildren? What are we going to do? So we show up on a day like today because we care. Because practice supports us in developing courage and resilience to meet each moment with a clear mind and a compassionate heart, to not be consumed by anger or despair, and to not turn away. I had read about Padachara, but where this talks about family again, is I was in Sri Lanka, and because they're all village temples, they're like these high Japanese temples where it's just monks, and in traditional cultures they're family temples. It's why I'm so happy about the family sangha, and because I feel like they're all here, and that's the way it is everywhere in the world, and we need the forms, but we also need just the doors are open, and please just come in. So there's paintings on the walls in the traditional, because a lot of people don't know how to read, and so it's very visual, and I'm visual anyway, so things go in really deeply. And there's a whole story about Padachara's life, so that by the time you're born and you get brought up in a village, these images are really deeply, and so, well, I suppose if you got brought up in a Christian culture, in particular, the kind of images on the walls, but these, and anyway, this is from the Buddhist. Padachara's story. In a single day, Padachara experienced the death of her whole family. Her husband was bitten by a poisonous snake. Her newborn child was carried off by a hawk. Her older child drowned in a river, and her brother, mother, and father were killed when their house collapsed. Seems to me, we might think, that seems like a bit much. And then I look at some of the places in the world right now, and that's I try to imagine, because it's actively happening. So Padachara went mad with grief. She tore off her clothes and wandered naked in circles for a long time, until she stumbled into a place where the Buddha was teaching. The monks wanted to send her away. But the Buddha stopped them and said to her, now I imagine when he said this, he didn't say it as a reprimand, he didn't say it as something top down, there was a way that he said it, that she was able to receive it. He said to her, and I say this to myself a lot, sister, brother, recover your presence of mind. Recover your presence of mind. And at his words, his presence, the gift of his presence, she woke up. She came back to her sanity, and she suddenly was aware that she was naked, completely vulnerable, exposed. So someone gave her a cloak to wrap herself in, like you. We gave her a blanket to wrap herself in because she was cold this morning. And she covered and she wrapped herself in the kindness of the people around her, because before she felt completely cut off and isolated. She told the Buddha of her tragedies and begged him to help her. And he said, I can't help you. For countless lives you have wept for loved ones. For countless lives you and everyone have loved, have wept for loved ones. Your tears could fill the 4 oceans, but no one can be a secure hiding place from suffering. Knowing this, a wise person walks the path of awakening. You don't have to raise your hand, but how many people think you're here because you know something about suffering, that suffering brought you here? Yeah. So, here we are. She, Padachara, in this, because her whole family was gone, she ordained. And she practiced diligently, and one day, she saw directly into the nature of impermanence, which she had experienced as something being done to her, and the whole world opened. And the Buddha said to her, Padachara, all human beings die. There is suffering. It is better to see the truth of impermanence even for just a moment than to live for 100 years and not know it. Maybe I could just ask, and you don't have to respond. How many of us know suffering and just want it to go away? Not everybody's happy. So her suffering, and in many ways her not having a choice, because her grief was so deep, is she awakened with and for the whole world, and became a great teacher. Because people don't become teachers, which we all are in one way or another, because you can say something from on high and say, here it is in the morning. They know it because they have the gift of embodying the teachings, which is, there There's vulnerability, there's tenderness. The world is impermanent. We're not in charge, we're not in control. We want it to stop. And so we practice because of suffering and because we want to alleviate our own and the suffering of the world. So when we practice meditation, we are practicing remembering our presence right here and now. Our wakefulness right here and now. Presence is always with us, no matter whether our experience is good or bad. That is a timeless path. I've been practicing presence a lot when my little friend is hanging on me and sucking on my arm and testing out his strength and presence, just presence. Let my heart get bigger and set limits. But I just want to love this one being in the whole world unconditionally because I know that's the path of healing. And I know he's suffered. I know enough about his history and the suffering of the world. Just want to be here. Sounds so simple, doesn't it? That's why we have days like today and why we practice together and we help each other. So I think this is from Suzuki Roshi. The practice is warm hand to warm hand. Always love that. You can't do in isolation. You can't go off on a mountaintop by yourself. I mean, of course you can, but then you have to come down. It's human, and it's about connection. And as we all know, human beings are pretty amazing, and we're pretty screwy, excuse me. So we sit down together and we ground our lives in this silence, vast and deep and endless and alive, and the understanding that each life matters, each moment is full and present, and what we think and do does matter. What we think and do does matter. Each action, thought, and word. Do no harm. Here's from the Dhammapada, which is an early Theravadan teaching. We'll study it sometime. We've never really turned fully towards it. Chapter 1. All experience is preceded by mind, led by mind, made by mind. Speak or act with a corrupted mind or confused mind, and suffering follows as the wagon wheel follows the hoof of the ox. All experience is preceded by mind, led by mind, made by mind. Speak or act with a peaceful mind, and happiness follows like a never-departing shadow. He abused me, attacked me, defeated me, robbed me. For those carrying, he or she, for those carrying on like this, hatred does not end. Oh, she abused me. I think I changed it there. Attacked me, defeated me, robbed me. We understand that this is genderless. It's human condition. For those carrying on like this, hatred never ends. Hatred never ends through hatred, or anger, or rejection, or othering. By non-hate alone does it end. This is an ancient truth. The end. That's the fundamental teaching. And I need to be reminded all the time. Just study your reactivity. Study our judgment. Not with judgment. That's what's so great about this little being in our lives is I just want to embody. I mean, I know I'm confused. And I have my ancient twisted karma, but I really want to practice unconditional love and to just keep coming back, because that's what will heal him and heal me and heal the whole world. So back to Padachara. This is from the First Free Women poems of the early Buddhist nuns. Padachara was asked, "What is the path?" And she said, you want to hear? Sorry, I like doing this. I want to make sure you're paying attention. She said, "Just see all thoughts, words, and actions arising all by themselves, not from some imaginary point within." Just see all thoughts, words, and actions arising all by themselves, just arising. It's like bubbles. Not from some solid self that's doing this, or some solid self that's doing this to you. I think, sorry it's not the sutras, but I think of it as like little bubbles in champagne. They just bubble up, you know? It's like, stop making up and believing this self. Just see all thoughts, words, and actions arising all by themselves. So there's a practice for today you can take up. You're sitting here. I don't know what's going to happen to you, but I'll tell you about my experience often. Is I'm sitting here like a Buddha. I came with deep intention. And then you're sitting here, and you're sitting here, and then you find yourself in some story. And it's some version of a story that you've probably been in 100,000,000 times, but for some reason, this is completely fresh and new, or at least it's so intoxicating. And you're in it, and and often it has to do with blame or shame, or, I mean, I don't know what your themes are, but identify your themes, and you're just hooked. I always think, you know, that thing about 16-foot tall Buddhas. You walk in a room, and you really can, when you walk in a meditation room, everybody looks like a 16-foot tall Buddha. It's so beautiful. But I also think, and somebody's probably done cartoons like this, where there should be bubbles over each 16-foot tall Buddha, and all the thoughts of, and my knee hurts, and who's that dumb person, and why did they forget to ring the bell, and then you're rehashing what happened to you, or what you're going to do next, and then you just notice it, and you just come back. So Dogen, take the backward step and turn the light within. Take the backward step. It's so physical to me. I'm having fun, but I can't have too much fun. Oh, I have to stop singing. It's so kind of you to listen to me. Because if you didn't listen to me, I probably wouldn't think about this stuff as much, and it really helps me, and hopefully it helps you, and hopefully it helps the world. Take the backward step and shine the light within. Just come back. I used to when I was a therapist. I don't know how people do therapy without some kind of, anyway, I couldn't have done it without a meditation practice. Is I would notice when someone was telling me something, and I would lean forward into it, or I would lean away from it. Or maybe a little to the side. And then I just come back. Just come back. That's all you have to do. That's all we have to do, moment after moment. Just come back. And it takes great bodhisattva effort, enthusiasm, patience, diligence, generosity towards self and others. Just keep remembering and returning to your wide open heart, even if you don't believe it. You don't have to believe any of this. This is a physical practice. You don't have to believe any of this. If it helps, pick it up. Find your own words. Find out what it means to you. But this is fundamentally a physical yogic. Sherry will do this with us this afternoon. We're training our body, heart, and mind, but we're doing it with this body. And sickness, aging, and death, sorry. Here we are. Just sit down. And how deeply we love. And how deeply, I think most of us are scared. Because we've all been hurt. Just keep coming back. Something like the butterfly, the chrysalis, is happening that's so far beyond us. This is a great act of faith. And when you sit down with other people with the same faith, or lack of faith, or for whatever reason we showed up, we really just help each other, and the whole world just stabilize. Just here, just this. Generosity. Turn around, come back. It's all here, everything you need, and an open hand. It's okay. I watch my little friend do that a lot. He wants love so bad. It's scary, you know? I've got that in me. You could hurt me. And fundamentally, don't you do it, no. We just keep showing up because that's precepts and ethics. Do no harm. Fundamentally, practice all good. Try to avoid doing harm. Practice with the awareness of the whole world. Knowing that it will soften us and tenderize us, and we won't always like it, and it will mean becoming vulnerable. Parameta of patience, all-inclusiveness, just this hurt foot. And I'm so sorry. Like, oh, take good care. Oh, take good care of these bodies. Take good care of each other. Offering deep presence to ourselves and others in the midst of pain, fully facing difficulties and transforming them into the path. The amazing gift that we have that we can do a day like today. There are so many people on the planet to just sit down for a moment on the earth. Please may it be so. And for those who can't, here we are. And it does touch across time and space. I am absolutely certain of that. Each time we come back, the whole world comes back. And the whole world needs it. So do we. Joyful effort. Allowing ourselves to be touched by the suffering of believing our dichotomies. This and that. I mean, of course we do. That's the way we see, but we believe it and then we reify it. And more big, wide, open heart becomes the truth and ground of our life and practice. I can't always do it, but I know that's my aim, my intention. Meditation. You mentioned I've been reading Brian Post, who works with foster and adoptive parents, really hard situations. He talks about cells vibrating, and that we're all vibrating together. So when you can stabilize today in the room, it will help everybody, not to mention the world. But that's what you do with a kid, is if you can stabilize the vibration of your own cells, everybody gets calmer. It's just true of everything. Cells vibrating, subtle, alive, turning. What a bodhisattva does. Dalai Lama said, "My religion is kindness. My religion is kindness." All experience is preceded by mind, led by mind, made by mind. We are bigger than we think we are. Oh, it's just Judith. It is just Judith. Who is this person? Don't know. Who are you? Way bigger than the little boxes we put ourselves in. We're little human beings, and we're 16-foot-tall Buddhas, and we sit down together, and we stop in the midst of 100 million other possibilities, because our heart somehow said stop. Steadfast, upright, don't make it small. You're making yourself small. Take a breath. Come back. We can all be mirrors of each other, each thing arising and passing, the mystery and wonder of this life and of alive. And don't think you're not doing anything, just sitting around here doing nothing. This is potent. And it's just this. It's no big deal. What else would a human being do but try to wake up in these ancient skeletal bones forms that can just be maddening? Anybody in this room ever had arguments with the forms? That's funny. There were little hands that went out. Anybody in here have arguments with life? That's just how we get to study the self, that's all. And then more and more, we can make clear choices about how to be and how to act. I'm so grateful. That's the amazing thing. Not all the time, mind you. I forget a lot. But fundamentally, I just can't believe that we all got a human life. We all got a precious human life and body. And our own measure of suffering and sorrow. Don't skip it. That's what we got to wake up with. And we have this